We're seeing the King's car there, approaching Hillsborough Castle, the official residence of the monarch in Northern Ireland, and crowds there lining the streets as we saw in Edinburgh yesterday.
So, Caroline, can you tell us some of the significant events that may well have happened at Hillsborough Castle over the years in terms of Queen Elizabeth and perhaps her father? In fact, let's just listen for a moment to the reaction. Sarah, important to note here, as you were saying about the guests that are being bussed in, the level of security, this is going to have a different dimension to it. But you're noticing little things in the motorcade that are showing little cracks, not necessarily in the security, but an attempt to get as personal as possible.
Yeah, I just noticed as the car was driving past the crowds that the Queen Consort has opened her window to wave at the crowds. I can't see on the King's side of the car quite from the vantage point we've got at the moment, but that need to be seen, the visibility of the monarchy that we're seeing, and that playing out ever since the Queen's death and the King's accession, and that is why we're seeing these walkabouts. It's very much getting amongst the people. Here we are. Yesterday we were talking, Paul, about the fact that they call it stopping short for the King, not quite driving to his destination, stopping short so he's able to walk on foot, be seen by those crowds, many of whom have waited hours and hours to just catch a glimpse.
And as we can see here too, Carolyn, the amount of security is obvious, but there's an outreach and a very warm cheer that is coming back, even when he was in the car, but certainly now when they can look into his eyes and he can see theirs.
Well, as Sarah was saying, high visibility monarchy. It has to be relevant in a modern world where visibility is all. Even the Queen used to say, I have to be seen to be believed. And I think her son is picking this idea up and he's getting out there down among his people, which I think is very important at a time of national grief. He is a focus now for that, and I'm sure everyone who saw his speech will agree that the grief of the nation was etched deep in every line of his face. These were eyes that had wept, and he was speaking to each and every one of us.
As they've been cheering God Save the King, you can see literally in that cascade from the centre of the shot off to the right-hand side of everyone's television, the different ages, the
multi-generational, the school children in their uniforms who it looks like have all come down, and what a moment for them to remember. I mean, what a time to get out of the classroom and actually experience history as it unfolds.
And also that beautiful modern touch as well, where, remember, of course, this was the same out the front of the Vatican, where these events now, they come with smiley faces, but a little bit of plastic in between as people hold up to share their moment. It's this way that we interact with things in 2022, that we have to savour a moment that we're living while we're living it. Put the phone down and just look at the King.
I was going to say, I'm in two minds about this, because you want to live in the moment and experience it, and yet you also want to preserve that moment and be able to share it, don't you, as a moment in history. So you can see why. But there's an iPad as well being held up before them.
Just for a better, wider shot. You know, the people are there. Tim Ewart is, of course, the royal editor for the Daily Mail, and he's part of our conversation now as well. In fact, he's the former ITV royal editor as well. He's spent plenty of time interviewing members of the senior royal family, and again, part of our team of experts with some insight here. Tell us about your reaction to what you're seeing here right now in Northern Ireland, mate.
Well, my first reaction, Paul, is that this, in a way, demonstrates the difference between the Queen and the King. You talked earlier about the Queen on her visit to the Republic of Ireland back in 2012 and going to Cork. I was there. I remember it extremely well. And I remember the crowds that lined the streets then, and I remember the Queen passing by. Now, she smiled sweetly. She stopped to chat to a few people, but she would not do this. She would not go into the crowd, shake hands, smile, chat with people, as you're seeing in front of you here. And I think that this is very much the image that the new king wants to project. You know, you also talked about the death of Earl Mountbatten. Well, I also went with Charles to Mullock Moor, where Mountbatten was killed by the IRA in 1979. Charles went there in 2014 in the Republic of Ireland, and then gave a very moving speech about reconciliation and about shared grief. His uncle, he called him his grandfather, in fact. So he gets all this, you know. He's been to this Northern Ireland. This is his 40th visit. He went 39 times as Prince of Wales. He gets this. He knows how important it is for the monarchy to retain popularity here. It's a divided nation, and Professor Coleman has talked to you about that. But I think these scenes that we're seeing here are very, very indicative, if you like, of the way that he's going to be as the king in the future. Far more accessible, trying to be much more a man of the people. And will it work? Will people like it? We'll have to wait and see. But my guess is probably yes, they will.
Let's listen in a little more. I want people to be able to hear the raw sound as if they were here, and as we enjoy this moment, which, as Tim just said, is one that even Her Majesty wouldn't have taken part in. Have a look at this.